What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined by a bunch of folks: Matthew Moreno, Anthony Witrado, and yes, under the Yoda ears, that is Blake Williams, here to wish you a Merry Christmas and here to reveal to you the DodgerHeads Christmas wish list. Who is on our list for the remainder of the offseason beyond just Christmas? And I'll do one quick caveat up front. Teoscar Hernández is not on this list. Roki Sasaki is not on this list because there's not really an argument to be made. We all want both of those guys back. And so we're going to set them aside for the purposes of this conversation. And each of us is going to make the case for one particular person to join the Dodgers at some point. And so I feel like I have to start with Blake based on the outfit, based on what we've got going on. So is that Yoda? Is it Grogu? I'll let you explain, Blake, and then take it away with the your choice for the Dodgers wish list.
I'm not really sure. Could also be Yaddle, another member of their species, but yeah, I'm not sure. Just she was on the Phantom Menace, the Jedi Council, and then in Tales of the Jedi, she also made an appearance. So slightly less known character than Grogu and Yoda, but yeah, still there. So
safe to say lesser known. Let's go from Yaddle back to the Dodgers here, and give us the guy who's on your wish list.
Yeah, so my target here is Luis Robert Jr. I think he would fit perfectly with the Dodgers. Even if they were to go and get Teoscar Hernandez, it would still make sense for them to have him. He'll plug into center field. You could move Mookie over to second base. You would have Tommy Edman at shortstop. And if you don't get Teoscar back, he would still fit in. You could put him in a corner outfield spot. You could still put him in center field and move Tommy Edman around. I think it just makes a lot of sense if they're looking for another right-handed bat. He's coming off a down year, so might be an opportunity to buy somewhat low on him, but just a year ago, he was a very elite player, 5 wins. He slugged 38 homers. He stole 20 bases in the last 2 years. So I think he's just an intriguing player you could add. Would increase the outfield defense as well. So that's on my list there. I know it might be a little more far-fetched unless the Dodgers do end up missing out on Teoscar, but there was the report from Ken Rosenthal that he could be an option for them. So he's on my wish list there.
I know there's obviously concerns with the health. Much like a guy we've talked about a couple times on the show, Bo Bichette, there are concerns about it wasn't just a down year. It was a very, very, very down year for Robert Jr. in 2024. So I'm curious, Blake, just as a quick follow-up, what might be the package you'd be willing to give up going out? And secondly, what gives you reason for optimism in the midst of both the injury and the performance concerns?
Yeah, the injury concern is real. I think the Dodgers are never ones to shy away from injury concern for a player, though. They're always looking for upside and just hoping he can be ready for October. We saw that with Tyler Glass. Now it didn't work out, but they have a long history of guys like that. So the talent is still there. I think it's tough to play on a team that won 40 games last year. I'm sure that kind of played into it, but prior to last year, his 4 years prior to that, they were all really good. So I think it just makes sense to go out and try and get him. For a package, that's where it's kind of tough. I know Gavin Lux is going to be the popular name to send back, but I think the White Sox are more looking for pieces down the line that they'll have control over for 6 years for when their rebuild timeline is up. So I feel like Zaire Hope is probably a name that's too much. So the tier prospect below that maybe makes sense. You could maybe throw in a Nick Frasso type piece. He might be intriguing to them because it fits now and in the long term. But naming a guy, it's hard to say, but someone in that kind of high-end tier that is a little more down the line.
I mean, somebody like Alex Freeland, potentially, just because if you are getting a guy who can play the outfield, maybe Tommy Edman becomes a long-term answer at shortstop. Would that be a name, Blake, that you think he sort of tends to be in that 4 to 8 range on most Dodger prospect lists, which is right below Rushing, DePaula, and Hope in some order?
Yeah, he could be a guy that makes sense. Maybe like a Joendry Vargas, Emil Morales type. They have guys. Kendall George might be somewhat intriguing to the White Sox. They do like those types of players, the speed and defense first type guys. So I think the Dodgers have the prospects to get it done. It's just if they can match up on a deal. And as we know, the Dodgers and White Sox have seemingly been talking about trades for the last year plus. So they probably have some idea of who it would take and what kind of players the White Sox do like.
Okay, Anthony, we'll go next to you. First, I'm just curious, Luis Robert Jr., is he a guy that you're interested in? And second, give us the name that's on the top of your own personal wish list.
Yeah, I think, that's a really intriguing pitch by Blake. I like Luis Robert. I kind of always have. What's kind of not to like, right, aside from the injury stuff. That last point, though, about the Dodgers and the White Sox being pretty familiar with each other, just because of a bunch of talks in the recent past, leads me to believe that if something hasn't gotten done yet, the Dodgers don't like the price that the White Sox have set for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the price is probably going to be different for the Dodgers than it is for, the Giants or, basically anybody else, just because, I think there is a little bit of a Dodger tax, but also just like, they may try to get a little more out of a team that they know has more. And so that kind of leads me to believe that maybe the Dodgers don't want to play in that sandbox because they know what is going to be asked of them. But I would love it. And I think Blake is right in terms of like how it shifts things with the defensive lineup. I just am a little bit leery also of like kind of getting Mookie Betts PO'd. With this constant shuffling of him. He's a consummate professional, but like, he's also human and guys could only take so much, back and forth, but good problems to have, right? If that were to happen, I guess.
Totally. Okay. Give us the guy on your wish list, Anthony.
Yeah. So I've been saying for a bunch of shows now that I think the Dodgers are still going to go out and get bullpen help. And before the Devin Williams trade, he was sort of my target as a guy that I liked for the bullpen. He's a Yankee now, and it sounded like that it might have been close to him being a Dodger based on his own words, but it didn't work out. And so I think now that the wish list guy is Tanner Scott. It doesn't cost him any prospects in a trade. It's just money for the Dodgers. So I think that makes a little bit more sense. Maybe it's a guy who's had a 200 plus ERA plus the last couple of seasons. And I think for the Dodgers, I think that move solidifies them as having the best bullpen in baseball, like pretty handedly at that point. I think if you add a guy like him, gives them a lot of flexibility. He's got some platoon splits. He's better against lefties, being a lefty, but he's elite, I think, against both sides. And then it's a little bit of like, all right, well, now we don't have to face him. Shohei Ohtani doesn't have to face him anymore. He's kind of been a nemesis of Shohei's. And so you pull him off the board for that. And then also, if the Mets are serious and they're going to make a run and they're going to be part of this window the entire time that the Dodgers window is open, it gives them somebody who can face Juan Soto in October.
Yeah. I like it. He's a name who's been connected, so it's not just a shot in the dark. There was some smoke. It seems to have cooled off, but again, like Teoscar Hernandez, it feels like it's cooled off for everybody. It's not like somebody else has surged ahead of the Dodgers in the Tanner Scott sweepstakes. All right, Matt, you're up next. Tanner Scott is off the board. Luis Robert Jr. is off the board. Who do you have on the top of your Dodgers wish list?
Real quick before I get to my choice, Anthony, I think, made a great case for Tanner Scott and what it would mean for the Dodgers bullpen. I just want to know if that includes Joe Kelly, because I don't know if you can have the best bullpen in baseball without Joe Kelly being part of that group. I think there's some sort of unwritten rule that he needs to be in it in order to get that kind of reputation.
He's just, as long as he's wearing the mariachi jacket, then it evens out.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is the bullpen coach maybe is Joe Kelly? Is he going to be the bullpen coach for the best bullpen in baseball?
Hey, he just needs to be in the bullpen in some regard, and then I think you could call it best bullpen in baseball at that point. As for my choice, I'm gonna zag a little bit, and yes, Tanner Scott, Luis Robert Jr. We took Teoscar Hernandez off from this. We took Roki Sasaki off. There a lot of shiny things out there, but I think if the Dodgers really want to prove that they are serious about winning in October and World Series, they absolutely make sure that they re-sign Kiké Hernandez. We already saw one World Series hero leave the franchise and Walker Buehler. Good for him getting that deal with the Boston Red Sox. Kiké has been open about wanting to be back. I think his versatility, I think he certainly fits the roster and how the Dodgers like to use the different guys off the bench. And like I said, I think there are certain players that you need for October, and he is one of them. And he's proven it time and time again that the moment doesn't get too big for him. He, I think, in an interview that he did recently, said he goes into, quote, sicko mode when it's playoff baseball and that he's addicted to it. And so all the shiny things are nice, but sometimes you need a little bit of old reliable that you can have, and that's what Kiké is, I think.
Blake, you a fan of bringing old reliable Kiké Hernandez back?
Sure. Like, it's not on my wish list. I would put that in the stocking stuffer category that we kind of toss that idea around. Like, if he comes back, cool. If he leaves, I'm probably not going to care too much about it. He's nice to have around, but they also have other guys like him on the roster. So, sure. Like, if he comes back, cool. If not, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, mine is a guy that if you've been watching the show, I've mentioned at least recently. He's a name that they've been connected to. And it's actually a name I should say I've been talking about for 18 months, but more seriously in the past week or so. And that's Ha-Seong Kim. And this might be surprising to some people based off the season he's coming off of, based on the fact that he's not expected to be fully healthy by opening day. But there's a few reasons why I like Ha-Seong Kim. The first is he's a free agent, which means he doesn't cost anything. You don't have to trade prospects to go and get him. But also just I've joked on our show, like when you read the scouting report on him, when you read the profiles that have been done about him, it honestly, you could take Ha-Seong Kim's name out of it and put Tommy Edman's name in it. And it feels like just a carbon copy of a guy who his all out playing style, he's fan favorite, that kind of stuff. He's a slightly above average hitter. He's actually graded out as a better hitter than Tommy Edman has over the past 3 seasons. He's a very good defender. I would say probably a better middle infielder than Tommy Edman is, or I should say a better shortstop than Tommy Edman is, but Tommy Edman has the advantage, I would say, at second base and center field. But the Dodgers just don't have a surefire answer at shortstop. Even if I've argued for Mookie Betts being the shortstop this year being fine, I don't want Mookie Betts to be the shortstop for the next 2 or 3 or 4 seasons necessarily. And so Ha-Seong Kim to me is a guy that I like. He's not going to be a total needle mover in the sense that like, oh my gosh, he's going to be a superstar. But I do think there's something in there. Even at his worst, he was a 2.5 win player for the San Diego Padres. Shouldn't cost a lot. It's maybe a club option, 1-year deal, maybe with a club option or something like that after it. And the reason I like this is, and speaking of Mookie Betts being jerked around a little bit, let's send Mookie Betts back out to the corner outfield after we make this deal happen. This is assuming Teoscar Hernandez does not get done. I'm rooting for Teoscar, but if they can't get Teoscar, I would like to sign Ha-Seong Kim and ask Mookie Betts to pull a Walker Buehler, do what the team needs him to do, and go back out to right field for at least 1 more season and navigate things from there. So that would be the guy on my list. Bo Bichette's another one, a name that I like. That solves some problems in that Gavin Lux maybe is a part of a package to go get Bo Bichette. There's less of a logjam, but that's the name I like. Blake, you and I have not talked about this. Ha-Seong Kim, is he a guy you have even remote interest in or hard pass all the way around?
I like him as like a piece you bring in as the final guy to complement your starting lineup. I don't like him as like their plan to replace Teoscar Hernandez. I don't think the offense is anywhere near the same caliber. So if you're going out to get him to plan on replacing the right-handed bat you're losing, don't think it makes sense. But if it's like the Gavin Lux replacement where you're moving Mookie Betts back over to second base and putting Kim at shortstop and maybe he platoons a little with Muncy at third base, I really like the idea of bringing him in. It's just not like the top of my list to go get a guy like Ha-Seong Kim as the bat replacement that you need right now.
Totally. It's more of he's like the sum of all parts would replacement for Teoscar Hernandez. He's like you're shopping at, with all due respect to Ross and JC Penney, you're shopping at Ross and JC Penney for your Teoscar replacement. And obviously he's going to bring value on the defensive side that Teoscar is not. So the wins above replacement might end up in the same ballpark from Kim versus Teoscar, but you're going to get there in a very different fashion. Anthony, I'll come to you real quick. Any other names that have not been mentioned that you think maybe deserve a shout out here?
At this point, pickings are pretty slim. I mean, the biggest name pitcher is still out there, Corbin Burns. I mean,
yeah,
if we're wishing for things, lots of deferred money. I think aside from that, I think they're all the moves now, aside from the guys that, we're talking about, like, Kershaw, Teoscar, that kind of stuff, would feel a little like improving on the margins.
Yeah.
It's things like that. Because I think where this team sits roster wise is pretty solid,
Yeah.
again, I've been saying I think they make some sort of bullpen move. Maybe it's Tanner Scott, maybe it's not, but I do think they add another piece that is, relatively significant there. But aside from that, I just think that anything else would be, again, kind of on the margins, not any real needle movers. Like I think Kim even is he gets the needle jerking a little bit. Like, I think he's a big enough name that people know who he is, especially because he's coming from the franchise that he's coming from. But yeah. So, I think that anything beyond what we've talked about is probably just, the trimmings.
Okay. Baby Yoda, any other names that you've got to Yeddle? Excuse me. Sorry. It's mystery and confusing down there. Any other names you want to include here?
Yeah, so we haven't mentioned Seiya Suzuki. I think he's worth a mention, but I have more of a sleeper name I'm going to throw out there. Gleyber Torres. You need a right-handed bat. You can put him in your middle infield.
Matt,
he's
look
an
at this.
intriguing
Matt,
player.
you want to talk about a needle mover for Matt? My goodness. Give us the sales pitch, Blake.
I mean, he's been an above-average hitter for most of his career. He's coming off a somewhat down year, which he was still a 104 weighted runs created plus guy. He's had multiple years of more than 20 homers. Career weighted runs created plus around 113. He's been a 4-win player last year, multiple 3-win seasons. He's a guy that led off for the Yankees and did pretty well there, and he can kind of bat anywhere in the lineup. He's still only 28, and I feel like because he's coming off the down year, teams are a little more hesitant to sign him. But if he was a free agent last year, I think he would have been one of the top players available and really intriguing to any team. And if you need a right-handed bat, your pickings are pretty slim there, but he might be an intriguing piece to them. Then you could say, hey, maybe we're going to go move Gavin Lux in a trade to get an outfielder and you upgrade 2 spots or another reliever or something like that. So it kind of just keeps increasing your versatility while evening out the lineup a little more with another righty bat as opposed to another lefty bat and Lux. It allows you to keep Mookie Betts at shortstop if that's what their plan really is. And it does give you some more versatility all around, just because you can move Mookie Betts back to the outfield if you wanted to, or you could leave him there at shortstop and you would have second base pretty much locked in without wondering, is Gavin Lux going to be traded? Is he a guy we keep around? What Gavin Lux are we actually getting? I think Torres is a really underrated bat that isn't getting a ton of attention right now. So it might be something where the Dodgers can jump in on his market and say, hey, you're not getting a whole lot of traction. You want a 1-year prove-it deal. You want to come here for a few years. And they might be able to get him below his actual value.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that because even when I just look at the weighted runs created plus is not a perfect number, but Blake, the gap between Ha-Seong Kim and Gleyber Torres from a weighted runs created plus is marginal. So obviously there's a bit more power in Gleyber Torres's bat, less walks, more strikeouts. So I guess maybe profile wise it gets you closer, but sum of parts, to me, I see 2 guys offensively that kind of from a sum of all the parts kind of grade out pretty similarly.
I think a lot of it is from Torres's down years. He's had 2 down years that have really hurt his stats, which they should be considered. But one of them, he played 127 games, and last year was 154 games. So still a good sample size, but he's also had years of 120, 115, 125, 121. So the upside is there, and maybe the Dodgers tweak something with the swing or something like that. But he's a lot closer to being able to replace the Teoscar Hernandez profile than a Ha-Seong Kim would be, even though overall they are a little closer career-wise.
Fair enough. All right, Matt, you've got one question to close us out here, so I'll hand the floor over to you, and we'll move this thing on.
Yeah, bonus question for Jeff. You and I were obviously on the live show Sunday night. We got to talking movies. It started off as baseball and then kind of shifted into Christmas. So being that this is up on Christmas Eve, and we hope everybody's having a great holiday. And if you're watching this after the fact, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that good stuff. But Blake and Anthony, my question for you, and we'll have Anthony go first. Favorite Christmas movie?
And the category is kind of at your own discretion what qualifies here. Matt, I mean, Matt gave a Christmas movie the other night that is definitely not a Christmas movie, so it's a wide berth.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm going to give I'm gonna give my obvious that we're gonna throw out. So the Roki Sasaki, Teoscar Hernandez
I like this.
pick is Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
It's already been on my TV probably a dozen times since Thanksgiving. Fall asleep to it, got it on in the background, whatever. I'm gonna be prepping a brisket later on. It'll be on, but I'm gonna go. I think I got a little bit of a sleeper for you for Christmas movie. Goodfellas.
Wow.
Was not expecting that.
Do we
That
get a
is sleeper.
justification for including this as a Christmas movie?
You've seen it, I assume.
Yeah, not like one time, you know.
It may aside from figuring out why it's a Christmas movie, it's just worth another watch because it's a fantastic film. But it takes place during Christmas, and there are plenty of Christmas and references and Christmas decorations in the movie. You know, I think the definition of what defines a Christmas movie is, you know,
Matt said
it's not
snow
just
on the
Hallmark,
ground.
buddy.
Snow on the ground. It qualifies as a Christmas movie for Matt.
Definitely.
So, Blake, do we have a Star Wars answer to this movie, to this question, Blake?
I do, and it's partly related to Matt's. It's got snow, so Empire Strikes Back. It starts out in Hoth, a snow planet. Then they find the Wampa, which is like the abominable snowman. There is a family reunion between Vader and Luke, and they meet the little green magic elf, Yoda.
So this might
This
surprise.
sounds eerily close to Goodfellas.
All I'm saying is Blake just referred to Yoda as a baby green elf, I believe, which I'm sure just offended half of the Wookiees that are watching this right now. So apologies to anybody offended and triggered by what Blake just said. It feels
It
offensive.
works for my comparison.
Yeah.
And this might surprise everybody, but every reference Blake has made in this video that we're recording, I have no clue. I have never heard of before in my life.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Matt, what was your? I mean, are you sticking with Cool Runnings as your favorite Christmas movie?
It's not my favorite. I was just saying that it is a Christmas movie. I think Home Alone is probably the first one. I think is probably my favorite one. Elf is funny, but it's not one that I could watch all the time anymore. Like I need to do that needs to be kind of limited viewing. Cool Runnings, I think, is a Christmas movie and is fun
Which
to
Home
watch.
Alone? Which Home Alone are we going with, by the way?
There's
Oh,
only
the first.
one.
No, the first.
There's only one answer to that.
No,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
first
I think
one.
Home Alone 2 is pretty good.
It's okay. It's not as good.
See, I think you can make a case for Home Alone 2 being better than Home Alone 1. I think they're both great. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap up this conversation now. Then,
Blake, have you seen how many of the movies we just mentioned? Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, Elf. How many of these movies have you seen? Cool Runnings.
I like Elf. That's probably my serious answer if I'm going pure Christmas movie. I've seen Home Alone a long time ago, but don't remember anything about it. Haven't seen any of the other ones.
You haven't seen Christmas Vacation?
No.
Goodfellas?
Nope.
Okay. Cool Runnings?
Never heard of it.
Oh my gosh.
oh man,
Blake, all right, let's end this video. Blake has some movies to watch the rest of the day and for the Christmas holiday.
Elf and Home Alone 1 and 2. Those three-way tie for favorite Christmas movie. Although I think I'm going to go turn on Christmas Vacation as soon as we finish recording this. So good stuff, everybody. Let us know if there's a player we missed on the wish list, if there's a Christmas movie we missed that you're offended by. Please let us know in the comments below. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Enjoy time with friends and family. And if we're your friends and family, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you as well. We will have content still on this channel throughout the week. And then after New Year's, for sure, we will be back on our normal live rhythm. So make sure to join us. That is Matt. That is Anthony. That is Blake. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. As always, go Dodgers.